Hey YouTube, what's up? Welcome to my guide about Sage's Weaver. This build has been doing much better than I thought it would do lately, and tanky Weaver builds in general have been doing better than I thought they would do, because I started playing Weaver after release as tanky at first, and I decided it's kind of weak, and then I tried out Lightning Rod, and it ended up doing way better. But now that I've revisited the tanky builds for Weaver, I feel like I'm just better at Weaver in general, and I'm making them work better. Also, I'm building them better. So let's just kind of go over what I'm using here. So in Arcane, same thing as Lightning Rod. You can take Arcane Abatement as an option, but I feel pretty solid about these two. As always, the boons here are all useful. Utilizing a lot of these dodges are very useful here too, especially the Earth one. Just crippling them so you can get a CC off like Gale Strike or Updraft or something is really useful. The Burn is just good damage. Obviously Cleansing Wave is good healing and Condy removal. And then Blinding Flash, probably extremely situational. I haven't really utilized it. It was much better back in Vanilla WoW, where you could blind a Death Shroud Necro and that you would get a really important ability usually that way. But yeah, I haven't really utilized the blind very much. There's a lot of multi-hitting in this game now. But anyways, here in Tier 1 there's actually some choices. If you know the enemy team has 2 Scourges or 2 Necros, mostly 2 Scourges, but you can take Stop, Drop, and Roll over Soothing Ice. Soothing Ice is overall much stronger, but situationally, against the right team, this could be better. But most of the time, take this, especially when there's not very much Condy on the enemy team. And then Aquamancer's Training is pretty much the go-to here. The 10% damage modifier is pretty decent. We have good healing, so if we're not getting focused, we'll pretty much stay above it, and we'll get that 10% damage. But the main thing is just the cooldown on this ability. It goes from 12 to 9.5 seconds, and this is like most of our survivability. And in this way, it follows along the cooldown of Evasive Arcana really well too. So pretty much every 10 seconds, you swap to water, you dodge roll, you Riptide, you Earth 2. Boom. Survivability. That's how you survive. Think of that as an overall thing for all Sword Weaver guides. All the survivability is Attune to Water, Dodge Roll, Riptide, Earth 2. That's just the base survivability combo of Sword Ellie, and it's really strong. So anyways, and then here, removing Condys when you get regen. It's just, when combined with Woven Stride, we have crazy Condy removal. It's really nice. And again, if the enemy team has a lot of Necros, you can just take Swift Revenge instead of this damage modifier here for Condys. And especially if you go Stop, Drop, and Roll plus Swift Revenge, you may not even need Stop, Drop, and Roll if you take this. So at this point, you pretty much just have a winning matchup against Necros most of the time. But I'm not for sure. With Minder's Amulet, it's 100%, like you'll never die. But with Sages, if they get a good burst on you, maybe you'll die. I'm not sure. I haven't done that 1v1 specifically, but I know in team fights, I'm generally just very safe when I take this. And if they only have 1 Scourge or a lot of power classes or whatever, you can take this for more damage. And then we just take this here for the extra vitality, because you can't reliably put weakness on your enemy, so you can't take advantage of the 15% crit chance, and this is just not as good as the health, I don't think. It's a situation, it's like a random Condy removal, and the super speed's random. Random super speed can sometimes be useful, but sometimes not, so I don't know, you could try with this, but it's a lot of extra life. Almost 3k life, which is a pretty big deal. Like, you can top yourself off because you have so much healing, so you utilize the max life quite often. Don't ever really take this one, I don't think. I think these two are just always the best traits for damage and Condy removal, or just pure damage. And obviously there's Woven Stride, which every time you give Swiftness you get regen, which removes a Condy. But with Swift Revenge, it makes every single dual strike give you Swiftness too, so all your dual strikes remove Condys. So you can see how with this, your Condy removal just becomes nuts. So yeah. Pretty much the only thing that can keep up with your Condy removal is a Scourge. Their Condy application is just as crazy, although it did receive a few nerfs. Still pretty crazy. And then here we use Sword, Dagger. We don't need Focus because with the healing power from Sages plus Sword, our survivability is already enough, and Dagger helps out our pressure a lot. When you're running a tankier build on Weaver and Sword, you definitely want to run Dagger offhand because it helps out your offensive pressure that you really need. And here we use Smoldering, Energy, and Rune of the Berserker. So if you do use Weaver's Prowess, between that and Smoldering, our burns last a really long time, which is really important because you want to use your Primordial Stance when you're at least part of the way in fire, if not fully fire. Yeah, that's the build. I've had a lot of success with it lately. I can't wait for next season to really try out Weaver a lot because I feel like I understand it better than ever, and I feel like I've done really well in the Sages build, and I want to try out this more and see really where it stands as far as the power level goes, especially with nerfs to Scourge and Spellbreaker, which, you know, most people think are inevitable. That'll really help out this build. Like, Spellbreakers have basically permanent resistance, so we just sit there and wait until the resistance is gone so we can actually kill them. No, I'm not. Which is it's a good thing you asked that, because I tried out Celestial Amulet and it's not good. It has a little bit more survivability than Sages, just a little bit, but the damage is so much lower. You have to try to Might Stack, which forces you into the air, fire, earth rotation, because that's way better at Might Stacking. And then you have to just use your abilities in your fire field, which you basically spend like 10 seconds stacking Might, and then at that point it's not worth it. The air, earth, fire rotation makes your damage so much more applicable. You can concentrate on hitting your abilities, and you don't have to worry about Might Stacking, and it's just a lot stronger. So we take a non-Might Stacking setup here, like, excuse me, that was a doozy. Like on Celestial, I was trying out Strength Runes and Courage Sigil to try to get as much Might as I could, but it just wasn't worth it, and it's not worth it on Sages to try to stack Might either. It's much better to try to hit your abilities rather than just throw them in a fire field. So this is pretty much the setup I've got. I'll talk about how I rotate my abilities here. Pretty much your choices are air, earth, fire, kind of like that. You keep doing that with water reactively, and then out of water, you know, you do the typical defensive combo into Earthen Vortex to Blast Finisher. There's a lot of evading there, a lot of healing, a lot of Connie removal. So very strong defense. And then you kind of skip air when you go defensive in water, and then you go right back to fire. Sometimes you can go earth, air, and then that gets you a different kind of setup, which is better with focus. But you can, you know, kind of teleport in earthquake, earth 5 kind of thing. Oh yes, when to use Primordial Stance. So in beta weekends I was usually using it in earth, fire, but I think I now prefer to use it in fire, air. And I'll show you why. Basically, you'll be doing a lot of burning, regardless of the fact that this only pokes out one burning at a time, because your weapon will be doing more burning, and the vulnerability will help scale your burning up. So, and also when you're in air attunement, you have a teleport, so you can better stay on your target to keep Primordial Stance ticking on them. So you do something like this, and it's just a lot of damage. There we go, we did it in double air. That's not where you want to use it, but look at that 25 vulnerability. Pretty much nothing survives air, fire, Primordial Stance cleave. It's just crazy. And then if you tune back to fire, you can get Ride the Lightning and Updraft, so you know, you do something like this. And then if they run away, you teleport back into them. Stuff like that. It just seems very nice for fire, air, when you're on a live target. When you're hitting a down target, most of the time you just want to prop Primordial Stance in fire, air, or earth, anything you can to get that down cleave as fast as you can. You know, something like this is just fine. Do some bleeds and some burns. But Primordial Stance isn't everything in this build. I do pretty good damage outside of it with the Dagger offhand. And overall, the build just feels great. Like, the Dagger offhand gives me more mobility, especially with Fiery Greatsword. You know, you could do something like that. So with Focus, it felt so much more immobile, but with Dagger, it feels more mobile. Our damage is higher. Dagger really helped me figure out this build, especially, and also these choices right here helped me strengthen the build a lot. So thanks to all the Twitch viewers, and Zeromus really cued me into Smoldering. That's really nice. So pretty much all my builds are not just mine. Like, my Twitch chat and friends helped me out a lot with making everything. So hope you guys enjoy. After the video and in the description, I'll be linking gameplay of this build from my recent stream highlights. So if you're looking for some examples of gameplay, that'll be there. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the build. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my YouTube to stay up to date with my latest videos, and follow my Twitch channel where I stream regularly. See you in my next video. Take it easy, everyone.